Hi Cancer, this is Tisch Aitken, and this is your monthly report for the month of November. This has been a very intense year for all of us, but I think the signs most impacted have been Capricorn and your sign of Cancer, because we've been dealing with this historical story of collapsing of old structures and restructuring and rebuilding. And we had this uncharted time of Capricorn with Saturn, which is structure and responsibility and integrity, and karma, meeting up with Pluto, which is death and rebirth, at the world point, which is 22 degrees of a cardinal sign. In this case, it was Capricorn. And for you, this whole restructuring has been in your house of relationships and partnerships. And the eclipses were in your sign axis as well, in Cancer and Capricorn. And the final eclipse occurred in your sign on the summer solstice. So a lot of beginnings and endings in a big scale for you, a lot of restructuring. And so we begin the month with Mercury retrograde in Libra, in your house of home and family. It initially retrograded in Scorpio on October 13th in your house of romance and creativity and children and joy. And then it re-entered your house of home and emotional foundation on October 27th. It stations direct on November 3rd, but it clashes with Saturn in Capricorn on the 1st of November. So again, it's a reality check of what's working and what's not working. And Saturn and Jupiter and Pluto are all transiting in your house of relationships. So it's a reality check of your partnerships, of maybe issues with family, and also how you're partnering with yourself to have comfort in your life. On the 3rd of November, Mercury officially stations retrograde at 25 degrees and 54 minutes of Libra. And that's good news. That helps to at least get us going forward. But it does square Saturn a second time on November 6th. Now it's direct. And again, this reality check for all of us, probably still more delays, certainly, because Mercury square Saturn can give delays in communication and how we transport things. And it is like the glass is a bit half empty, but you want to work with that and make it feel more full. Okay, so you just manifesting and realizing that that is the energy. On the 9th of November, Venus is transiting in the sign of Libra. It entered your house of home and real estate on October 27th, and it'll be transiting in that house for you until November 21st. And that's excellent for you for getting comfort at home during this time, for fixing up and beautifying your environment, and also just finding some inner comfort during a tough time. And that day, Venus opposes Mars, and Mars is transiting in your house of career and life goals. And that can be fiery energy, but can also be very creative. Keep in mind that Mars is also a key player right now. It's been transiting in your house of career and professional image and goals since June 27th, and it retrograded on September 9th at 28 degrees of the cardinal fire sign of Aries. So more cardinal energy. And Aries rules your house of career and life goals. So it's a really good time for you during these restrictions to realize how you can be more effective. You're a cardinal sign. You're very good at getting things going and catalyzing things. So what can you achieve? What is working and what's not? Because this year it's going to be very clear the next couple of months before Saturn and Jupiter finally exit Capricorn by the winter solstice of what is effective and productive in your life, what you need to commit to further, and what do you need to purge to be productive here. So we have on the 9th, Mercury re-enters Scorpio on the 10th of November, and the Sun in Scorpio also trines Neptune in the sky. The Sun's transiting in your house of romance and creativity and love affairs, and Neptune's transiting in your house of hope and manifesting and promotion. And this is a really magical energy, very good for romance and creativity. fun and even doing manifesting work. And we have on the 12th of November a really beautiful energy. Jupiter meets up with Pluto for a third and final time at 22 degrees of Capricorn. And that's in your house of relationships. Now, they met up 2 other times on April 4th and June 30th at 24 degrees of Capricorn. And that sets off that historical Saturn-Pluto conjunction that occurred on January 12th in your house of relationships. That's the transit that changed the world. You know, collapsing of old paradigms and rebuilding and restructuring. Now we have Jupiter, the luckiest planet, although it's in its fall position, meeting up with Pluto, the planet of transformation. This is an aspect of healing. This is a great aspect for partnering with financial projects. Mars stations direct the following day, so Mars will be stationing direct, so that's positive, and that's a really healing energy. So definitely target that date to do manifesting work. It's good for partnering with others in many different ways and doing healing work as well. And the good news is the following day, Mars stations direct at 15 degrees and 14 minutes of Aries. And Mars doesn't clear its shadow until January 4th, and it exits Aries on January 6th. But this gives you a time to work a little while longer with Mars transiting in your house of career, because it's in the sign it rules, and it's exalted in the house, in the 10th house. So this is really good for you professionally going forward. It just hasn't been easy with the retrograde and with fighting with all the planets in Capricorn, which I'm going to stop doing pretty soon. So then we've got on the 14th of November, the Sun in Scorpio in your house of creativity forms a facilitating sextile to both Jupiter and Pluto in Capricorn in your house of relationships. So that's really nice for romantic endeavors. It's good for partnering professionally and creatively and having some fun. On the 15th of November, we have a new moon in Scorpio at 23 degrees of Scorpio. It's always a good time to set intentions and to plant new seeds, but that's a tricky new moon because that day Venus squares Pluto, and that's an aspect of triangles, and it can be friction in relationships and with financial projects. But definitely write down intentions, and this new moon does fall in your house of romance and creativity. And on the 17th of November, Mercury opposes Uranus in the sky, and that can be it can be innovative energy, but it also can be very confusing and unexpected energy. And Mercury's transiting in your house of at that point your house of romance and creativity, opposing Uranus in your house of friends and groups. So maybe you get some unexpected news about a friend or something. And then on the 19th of November, Venus in Libra forms a square to Saturn in Capricorn, and that's challenging. That's not an excellent time for partnering. It can be a bit disappointing. So maybe do some work that day, you know, if you can focus on that. And on the 20th of November, Mercury clears its shadow, meaning the degree at which it initially stationed retrograde on October 13th. So that helps. On the following day, on November 21st, the Sun enters Sagittarius, where it'll transit until December 21st, and that's in your house of work and daily routine. Maybe it's a good time for focusing on your health regimen, your work habits. And Venus exits Libra that day and enters the sign of Scorpio, which is a fellow water sign, and it'll be transiting in your house of romance until December 15th. Venus is in its detriment in Scorpio. It's a difficult placement, but it is very sexy and it's good for you. It's a fellow water sign and it's in your house of love affairs, so that's fun for you, you know. And then we've got, let's see, on the 27th of November, Venus forms an opposition to Uranus, and that could be a bit chaotic with relationships. So That's a little bit of a wild day. On the 28th of November, Neptune stations direct in your house of hope and manifesting. And we feel that energy 5 days before and 5 days after. And it stations direct at 18 degrees of Pisces. So a little foggy energy, but you can expect between Mercury retrograde in Scorpio this fall and then Mercury re-entering Scorpio, that there's going to be a lot of secrets uncovered. And then Neptune's station always brings out information or makes us see things that we have maybe perhaps not seen before. And then the big deal too is that we complete the month on the 30th with a lunar eclipse at 8 degrees and 38 minutes of Gemini. And that falls in your 12th house of the imagination and the house of endings. And it's within a degree of the world axis, because anything at 7 degrees of the mutable signs is at the world point. And that is Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. So we can imagine big events, and Neptune is just stationed direct and is squaring the nodes of fate. So maybe more information gets uncovered. There could be some endings in your life, but you could also view it as a great time for releasing things, because you've been dealing with so much restructuring and you've been working under such difficult conditions. So I wish you a lot of luck. Do a lot of manifesting on that Jupiter-Pluto conjunction, very healing energy. And we're almost done with a Capricorn tail. So good luck, Cancer, and thank you very much. Take care.